All right, so now we're going to take a look at examples where our 2 points are sitting in different quadrants. I need you to notice I have a point up here and I have a point all the way down here. When they sit in different quadrants, we're actually going to add. And I know that's weird, so I kind of want to give you some reasoning behind it. When I measure the distance from this green point down to this orange point, we're actually traveling down. We're measuring how far does it take to get me to the axis. And if I count that out, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. And then I'm continuing past the axis. How much further do I have to travel? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An additional 6 jumps. Altogether, if I travel 6 to the axis and 6 beyond the axis, that's a total of 12. And therefore, I'm adding those two quantities together. So, that being said, if I think about my new strategy and I take a look at my 2 ordered pairs, I see my x's are the same, so I know that I'm going to deal with my y's. And one thing that's different from before, I now have a positive and a negative. Earlier, we just always had 2 positive numbers. So I'm going to still take the absolute value of those numbers, so the absolute value of 6 and the absolute value of negative 6, but we're adding this time. So I'm going to put a plus sign here. The absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. 6 plus 6 gets me 12. And that goes back to my answer that I found up here. Let's look at that again because I know this can be a little confusing. So again, I have 2 points sitting in different quadrants. So let's use our new strategy first, and then we'll go back to count to prove our answer is correct. So if I look at my ordered pairs, my y's are the same, so I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use my x's. One's negative and one's positive. Since they're different, I know they're in different quadrants. And I'm going to start by finding their absolute value. So the absolute value of negative 8, the absolute value of 2, and I'm adding. I know that the absolute value of negative 8 is 8. I know that the absolute value of 2 is 2, and 8 plus 2 is 10. So the distance is 10. Let's check it out if we count. So I'm going to start at my green point, and let's see, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to get to the axis. And then we're traveling 1, 2 on the other side of the axis. 8 plus 2 is 10. Let's do one more. Again, different quadrants. Okay, and I can prove that by looking at the picture, or I can look at my numbers. My y's are the same, so I'm not going to use them. My x's are different. I see one's negative and one is positive, so I know they're in different quadrants. I'm going to find their absolute values first. The absolute value of negative 8, the absolute value of positive 4. Since they're in different quadrants, I'm adding. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. The absolute value of positive 4 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. So the distance is 12. And again, if you were to count, from the point to the axis is 8. From the axis to the other point is 4. 8 plus 4 gets you your 12.